Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Vosk of the VoskCoin YouTube channel. Today we're building a 12 1080 Ti GPU mining rig. We're looking for 1874 as the last four numbers of the serial number for a 750 watt PSU, and Crypto Chick's looking for it. She's getting pissed. She can't find it.
What?
I've been busted, boys. Back to tails for the weather.
What did you just say?
Nothing.
Does the serial number not exist?
No. So let's get straight to it. Here are the parts we're going to be using today. What it's all based around is the motherboard, because without this, well, we couldn't be doing this. And with that, we're using the Asrock H110 Pro BTC Plus motherboard. No surprise, we're going to be using a dual PSU setup. So I have a ton of these EVGA 750 watt platinum PSUs. Probably would be the right PSU to use here anyway. You can maybe get away with one that's a little bit smaller, but we're going to use this PSU. In conjunction with that, we're going to be using the 2400 watt platinum PSU from ParallelMiner, which it uses two breakout boards to give us a ton of PCIe connections. The GPU we're using is the Asus 1080 Ti, just standard reference blower style card. If you're wondering why are you using that card, Vosk? Well, honestly, supply and demand. This is a card that I've been able to acquire. I've been buying this card for several months. I've gotten it as low as like 640 bucks, and actually no, best one I ever got was like 580 or something. I got two at that price with, you know, some special promos, whatever, but that was then and this is now, and today's rate for these cards is about 720 bucks. And I did buy two at that price because that's the cheapest 1080 Ti right now, and that's what this build's all about. CPU we're going to be using is a 4400T, an Intel 4400T. However, that's the power saving model that I'm fortunate to have some of. It's hard to get these, you can't buy them new. A 4400 would be fine otherwise, and that's what I'd recommend for that. So what about the other parts we're using? Well, if you follow my channel, you know I use Trio mining rigs. The Trio mining rig is two 1080 Ti's and one 1070 or 1080 mini. Normally the 1070, they're a little bit of better value. And with that, I'm going to scrap one of these to get the parts I need for this build. That means I'm going to be using this Crucial Ballistics RAM. I'm using just 4 gigabytes, see if I can get away with that. It's a 2400 model. And then I've got a 32 gigabyte USB drive. That's going to be running the OS. So the H110 Pro BTC Plus board has a onboard power button. So we're not going to need this. This will just be put back in inventory pretty much. And then we're going to take the CPU. Again, pretty much any quality CPU is going to work here. The 4400 would probably be the best bang for buck for you. And finally, you know, what it's all about, the frame. So if you guys follow my channel, you know I just had a 6X GPU build with the mining rig frame. Their 6X model, which is basically this. What they've done is they added an additional portion below to create the same exact, you know, width and length for this frame, but it's 12 card. So I'm going to take this 12 card and I'm going to stack my 6 card right on top of it, and that's going to give me my own custom, basically DIY mining shelf without the need to have an additional shelf and throw these racks on shelves, which is pretty nice, and it's going to free up a shelf for me. As you can see with this frame, it's pretty nice. We've got a cutout here to run wires straight down to have some decent wire management. They have risers right here, and they also have a generic add to PSU already built in, because this is really made to be used with ATX style power supplies, but today we're going to be using an ATX PSU in conjunction with a ParallelMiner PSU, which is a server PSU. If you wonder where the hardware is for your actual frame, they tape it right up here at the top. You just cut this tape and you'll see you have a little bag here with everything you need. So the mining rig frame actually comes with risers pre-installed, and the good news is they're excellent quality. However, one of the tips I've gotten on this board is that they didn't really take any consideration into the design here when they slammed or crammed all of these PCIe connections right next to each other. So the issue is just that these connections, apparently the solder connections right on the back, can touch the PCIe behind it, and when that happens it shorts out, and basically it's going to continually crash your rig and drive you nuts. So if you listen closely, you'll be able to hear them actually being able to touch without much movement at all here. So all it takes is for it to just go like this, and then your rig's probably gonna go down and you're gonna be pissed. So we have a solution. So the solution is to use electrical tape. And what that's gonna do is keep these connections from touching each other and shorting out the board. Apparently, I haven't done this yet. This is my first build with these parts, so stick along for the ride with me. We'll make sure this works. Alright guys, I just broke down the trio and I've got all the necessary parts that I need. So I've got my CPU right here. It's a G4400, specifically the T version, a little bit of power saving. Again, not a big deal. And then I've got my RAM here and CPU cooler, and that's pretty much all we need. You probably know how to install a CPU, but if you don't, watch this. You can pop that off, take the CPU cover off. You can orient it with your board. Drop it down. It's got little ears to hold it in place, and that's how you know you are properly inserted. The ears are right here. So everyone raves about Arctic Silver, and I use it as well. You can get this little kit off Amazon for like 10 bucks, link below. This is the thermal compound we're gonna need before we apply the CPU fan. Normally the thermal compound comes pre-applied on these CPU fans, but this is coming from a different board, and every time you move it, you're gonna wanna install new thermal compound. We're just gonna use a pea size amount. That's probably a little much, but I think we're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just push the fan down a little bit. I really need to truly snap it into place once I get it on the frame. This is just a little bit of an easier setup. Next up, we're gonna drop the RAM in. It's slotted, so there's really only one way you can put it in properly. You're gonna snap into place, and so you know you're properly situated. Alright, so we've got the motherboard on, and we snapped the CPU fan into place properly. And now we're trying to figure out the best orientation for the power supplies. You can see we've got the big 2400 watt server PSU right here, and we've got the 750 watt ATX PSU. And right now, we're kind of thinking we're gonna set it up like this to kind of keep it as clean as we can. The wires we have are definitely too long, but that's something we're gonna come back and adjust in the future. Tonight it's all about just getting this rig operational. Alright guys, so I went ahead and strapped the Velcro down onto the rig to hold these PSUs here. This is kind of the best solution I came up with. I'm not going to be utilizing the 750 watt too much, so I'm not too worried about it blowing much heat onto the server PSU here. And I also want to install some kind of fan, CPU style fan, to blow some air onto the server PSU just to keep it cool, because it is going to be the absolute workhorse of the rig. Again, just using 2 pieces of Velcro. If you want to see, Velcro's pretty tough. And this is the Velcro size I'm using. If you're interested in it, again, link below, full part list below. But nice size, pretty appropriate for what we're doing here. Server PSU has the same piece under, just right here at the end. Alright guys, so we just hooked up the cables on the motherboard. Obviously we needed a 24-pin motherboard cable, as well as an 8-pin CPU cable, and 2 Molex connections that are going to help power the PCIe slots on this board, because there are so many. I did only use 1 Molex connection. If anyone's watching this video and you advise against that, please comment below, let me know. But from everything I've looked up, it doesn't seem like that'll be an issue, so we'll find out. So I went ahead and ran the PCIe cables for the risers from straight down through that pre-drilled hole, and they're kind of way too long, but I'm gonna work with what I got today, get this operational. Yeah, I'll post an updated video down the road where I go ahead and tidy this up with appropriate length cords, as well as some adapters. But again, we'll see what happens. But right now I'm running 1 PCIe cable to each riser. Obviously there's gonna be no issue running those. Alright, so now we've got all the connections made. We've got USB set up, we've got the actual power line set up, so the PCIe adapters are powered by the PCIe cables all connected. The USB to the PCIe risers on the motherboard connected, and we are all set. Again, you can see on here, it will be a cleaner build if I had shorter wires and some more adapters, but again, another day, another dollar. Alright guys, so now it's time to install the cards. This is where it starts to get exciting. Again, this is the Asus blower 1080 Ti, and these are the supplied risers from Mining Cave. If you're looking for risers recommendations, I have them in the description below. What I like to use, purchase myself in rigs that don't come with pre-made risers that are good quality, like these are. And then right here we've got a little locking tab. So we're gonna take this card, line it up, and we're gonna slide it into that tab and slide the whole card in. you'll know when it's in. It feels very firm. We can slide this back and lock the card in. To follow up on that, we're going to screw the card into the frame. These are cool little screwdrivers. They're little magnetic tips, super useful. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and install the other 11 cards. This is a crazy build. Alright, all the cards are installed and screwed in. And now we just need to add the power connections and we're going to be rocking and rolling. Also, I don't know if they do this on purpose or if it was an accident or whatever, I got lucky, but they included a drill bit, and I was like, oh, that's weird, why they include a drill bit? This is more of a screwdriver job in my opinion, especially for this tight stuff. However, it made me realize that, well, one, this bit they gave is magnetic, just like the screwdriver, sweet, but two, this is even smaller. Very different in sizes. So what that allowed me to do is I took this bit and I was able to get in here and get these screws in. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but sure made my life easier. Alright, not my proudest moment. These wires, due to their length and not having the adapters I need, is really making this an entire cluster. So I just took a second and tidied that up a little bit, but as you see, again, an entire cluster. So without further ado, let's plug it up and see if this bad boy works. So what a cluster building this 12 card has been, really just because of a couple errors I've made myself. So for example, I ordered the wrong Server PSU cable originally, so my mistake there. I had to wait to get that, got that. Then I realized that the adapters I was using simply do not work. So I had a huge issue with the adapters. The 1080 Ti's have an 8-pin and a 6-pin. So I had a bunch of 6-pin to 8-pin adapters and then also obviously just the 6-pin cables. And I have enough slots to run them with just a 6-pin to a 6-pin and a 6-pin to an adapter with an 8-pin. So I tried to set it up that way and this rig was just not having it. So that's why I'm talking about using these. Okay, so these are just not working for me. And the cards that were running on this were not having the issue, but due to the other ones being set up like that, they would just crash the miner constantly, just due to it's not reading that it's getting the correct power. So now I've got these adapters in, I've got it all hooked up, I've got it zip tied, decent wire management, not the coolest thing you've ever seen, but looks good enough. And so I'm about to plug it in and see if it works, or I'm gonna go crazy because I have no idea what else it would be. Let's find out. All right guys, so we finally did it. Finally got the 12 card up and running. Couple annoying errors, but it's done. Got Tails with me. She's holding it down, she fixed it. The first main issue was I forgot to order the power cable, nice. And then the second issue was the adapters. It just did not accept the 6-pin to 8-pin adapters. I needed the 6-pin to 2 8-pin adapters, which for anyone wondering is not an issue to power under 250 watts. Plus I'm only running 200 watts, so I'm not worried about it there. NVOC 19 and 17 was just not playing with this rig. Did not like it at all. However, Simple Miner was here to the rescue. I was having so many issues with NVOC, I was thinking that I had a bad riser that was crashing the rig or something. So I wasted so much time plugging this, unplugging that, whatever. And then finally I switched over to SMOS and I realized I just needed to reload the miner or reboot the rig while in the dashboard, and that would get the board to properly recognize everything. And after that, once it loads properly that first time, it's been off to the races, and we've been up mining for about 24 hours now and no issues other than when my lovely switch decided to stop working for some reason. I don't know what it was. I just replugged it and it was fine. So, a isolated incident maybe, but I'm probably going to order one just to have one backup on hand in case that ever goes down, because I was like, oh my god, Best Buy, do you have anything to help me? Alright guys, that's that. I want to make this video longer than it needs to be. Got Sad Tails with me. It's been a long couple days, couple nights just between work and this and that and fixing up this 12 card. Also, if you guys are wondering about this sweet crypto hats from Kings of Crypto, they've got a lot of cool crypto apparel. If you're wondering about parts used in this build, I'm going to have a full breakdown in the description, as well as I'll pin a comment showing all the parts I used in this build. So if you want to replicate it, do it. After I got over those couple little dumb hurdles, this actually is a very strong and stable build. And again, it's been running flawless since I got over those few things. So with that said guys, thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the VoskCoin YouTube channel.